welcome to today's video. It is my June manga reading vlog. Now this one is incredibly behind, late, delayed. I've already filmed my July reading vlog. It is towards the end of August. I've said it in a few other videos, but July, start of August, it's just been horrendously busy in so many other aspects of my life, and I've just fallen a bit behind on a few videos, especially my reading vlogs, because they take me so long to film, and I've still not gotten into my better habit of doing a little recording each day. And I have done videos where I do that, so I do know I can do it, and like how I'm happy to do it and layout and stuff, just I keep putting it off. This is also the first time I am trying recording with the front camera like late at night. It is midnight on a Wednesday. I have work in the morning, but I took an accidental big ass nap at some point this afternoon, well, after work, so I'm not too tired and it's quiet, and I thought, why not? Let's just film this. Hopefully the lighting's not too weird. I'm using like a clip-on ring thing, and hopefully that makes it look not too grainy. We'll see. But yes, this is my June manga reading vlog. You can see all the stuff behind me that is part of this reading vlog. This is all the stuff I have to talk about because it has been a little longer since I have read all this. Some of the descriptions might not be the best. I'm really sorry. Also, some of them I have read the next volume in the series. If that is the case, I might say I don't really have too much to say, that I'm gonna just talk about it in the next one. Because yeah, there are especially a few of these. I'm looking at them here and I can see that yeah, I've read the next volume probably in August from the ones I've looked at. So I'll talk about it just a bit more in my August reading vlog. I'm gonna put this one up as an early access video for members. I don't know when it's gonna go public. I would quite like it to go public, to have all of my reading vlogs from the year be available, but I'm not gonna like beat myself up about it. I just wanted to film it and share and talk with you because I do really like talking about my reads. June was Pride Month, and my mini little challenge for June was to try and read all of my 7Cs BL one-shots in a large format. And you'll see what I mean because I have a big clustering of them up here. Why that specifically? Not any particular reason. Same with a lot of my other mini challenges. It was just some form of a goal for the month, really. And I think I did actually almost hit it. I think there was only one big form factor 7Cs BL one-shot I didn't read, and that was Punk's Triangle. I have since picked up a couple of more, but I'm not going to include those. If I can read Punk's Triangle before the end of the year, I'm going to consider myself golden. I did read quite a bit of BL looking back at this. I'm not sure how much of it was intentional, but let's take a look. Also, can you see all this? This is all my plastic wrap stash. Because I think I sat here while reading like a load of these, because most of them are plastic wrapped, and I just like shoved them in, and I should bin them really, especially as the cats go a bit crazy for them. See, I've gained a cat. Come here, you want to say hello, YUNA? She just never ends. How long do we stay here? She's like just flopped over my shoulder. Fun cat. Oh, see how much I have to mute of that because of like her hitting the mic. My new boss is Goofy, volume 1. It is a bit thin, this volume, but I loved it. This was so cute and silly. It is, yeah, his new boss is Goofy. This guy has worked at this like terrible place. He's treated terribly, and he changes jobs, and he is treated really nicely at this new workplace. The boss is great, but really goofy. Not like dumb, just like a bit silly, I guess. Like there's this page here, they're in a meeting, and he's like, the boss is crumpling a bit of paper, and the guy like puts his hand out because he's by the bin, and he confused, he just like pats him on the hand. He also gets a kitten. It's just a really silly like workplace comedy. It's not really BL, it's kind of like, I don't know, BL adjacent, I guess. Most of the cast are men. You could probably, like if you said there's something going on, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not really the focus, it's more comedy. Sweet Rune Escape Volume 2, this completes this series. It is only 2 volumes, and it's a chunky one, at least. I wasn't a major fan. Volume 1 was fine, I think I enjoyed Volume 1. Volume 2, it's just not that bothered about how it ended, really, I guess. They're already kind of like in a relationship by the end of Volume 1, so Volume 2, it's just like some really kind of rushed drama because it is complete in just this volume, and then like niceness towards the end. Really, probably wouldn't rush to recommend it. Lots of smut though. Most actually, a lot of the ones I read this month had smut. Cherry Blossoms After Winter Volume 2. This was really nice. Just seeing the relationship like evolve more and getting more like they're communicating better, and like the other guy, not this one, is now like actually having friends and spending time with people and having it's so adorable after like all the like the sadness and the guy's childhood, being alone, and now he has like people to talk to because they're like talking to each other. It's so cute. It's so cute. Dashing Zaddy and his Icy Protege Volume 1. I think this is like, I can't remember if it's plastic wrapped. If it's not plastic wrapped, it's probably like on that borderline of a plastic wrapped series. I quite liked it. It is about it's kind of I think it is technically an age gap, but they're both like adults that work in the office. This is like an older gentleman, this is a younger gentleman into older men, having some problems performing in that department, but apparently seems able to with him around, and he's quite happy about that. Again, quite liked it. I think I had like a real enjoyment of like office BL series. I was gonna say this month, but probably just in general, especially like how much I love series like Punch Drunk Love and Perfect Body. Yeah, I think office BL is where it's at for me. Wild Roses and Pretenders Volume 2, another series that is complete at just the 2 volumes. Another plastic wrapped, I think? Yeah, it is plastic wrapped. Just check where the smut is. Honestly, I'm drawing a complete blank on the volume. I don't even necessarily remember if it was bad. I just feel so unnoteworthy about it, which is almost worse. It's very pretty. It's a very nice art style. It's very nice on the inside, but like story-wise, I think there's just a lot of drama about the two of them being together. I think this one is a commoner, if I remember correctly, and he is a noble, so like the whole relationship is like, and I think that's what a lot of the gist is. Probably wouldn't rush to recommend it. Love That Is an Understatement Volume 1. Was super excited to see this one because it is one of the first Kodansha print on demand series. It is the only one I've read so far as well. It's actually quite soft. I think that is a fairly common thing in print on demand, is I find that the paper is a lot more flexible. Personally, I like that. I like being able to like hold my books like this. That is a personal preference. I prefer that. In terms of story, I think this is the same. It does say on the back, it's the same manga as Lovesick Ellie, and I quite like Lovesick Ellie. It's a romance story between like a prim proper goes to like after school, I forgot what the word is, training centres for education. Does it say on the back? Nope, the word has forgotten me. She's doing a lot of extracurricular stuff. She's very prim, very prepared, and she ends up spending time with this guy who is a bit more of a ragamuffin. It's just because it's like 12:30 at night on a school night. So it's a very odd couple kind of relationship, and yeah, it's quite a fun, pleasant read. Do be aware that because it is a print on demand, I find a little more expensive. The 3 that I have at least. They have popped up on Sci-Fi, and I think they're mostly sticking around like the usual publisher prices for other volumes, so it's less bad. But if you were to buy it from Amazon, they don't really get discounted. But I do believe I have seen that some stores have gotten them in as well. It's probably just going to take a little bit of time to feed through, but this honestly really excites me at the prospect of print-on-demand manga. The concept, like the suggestion that series that we might not have been able to get because there's some concern there's not enough demand for it, if we go through like a print-on-demand route, it means that everyone could in theory get the stuff that they want. So I'm desperately hoping that it goes really well still. I know it's been like approaching a year since they initially announced and launched it, and I know there were some teething problems, but I'm hoping, really, my personal opinion is this is, I think, the way forward long term for manga printing. Really hope. At this point, I had a really big gap in reading because the Switch 2 came out. And I also went away for a few days for work, but I went to London for a work conference trip, and I went with colleagues to Forbidden Planet, so they all got to witness me manga shopping. So the next volume I read, and I picked it up in London and read it on the train home, was Trapped by His Love, The Duke's Unexpected Bride, Volume 2. Now this is a series where I have read the next volume as well. I read Volume 3. Funnily enough, I went to London, I got Volume 3, and I read it on the train home. It is like a thing now, so every time I get the train to London and go to Forbidden Planet, I need to get the next volume of this and read it on the train home. I really like the series. It has hit like every note that I like in a story. A very obsessive, loving male lead, and a very like confused female lead, and there is drama, and the guy comes and swoops, and like there's some like odd things happening around the edges, but in this and the next volume, without like trying to get too ahead of myself, we are learning more things about why. I think I read in one of like the artist's chat back afterward bits, like the male is like is it a yandere? Is that it? I think that's what I enjoy. I enjoyed that kind of character. Definitely been one of my favourite reads of the year. Is we have another volume that I have also read the volume 2 of, and I read volume 2 in August, so it's more fitting I feel, and that is The Long Summer of August 31st. Now this is like a Groundhog Day time loop story where these two people are reliving the same August 31st repeatedly. They don't really know why. They're trying to semi-figure it out, but also just sort of getting on with it a little bit, I guess. I don't think we've really had much context on how many days they've been reliving, but they're spending a lot of time together, and again, I'll go into more in my August talking about volume 2, but I have been quite enjoying this one quite a lot, and I think as well the vibes really help. Reading a story about August during August is like, I should have saved volume 2 to read on August 31st. Oh, a cat has joined me, the other cat. I think she'll be a bit more grumpy if I pick her up. I think I would recommend this one. We push on. The next series I read, I was pushed into reading by Lady Moon, and that is The Summer You Were There 1-6. And this completes this series. It is a GL complete at 6 volumes. I had picked up the first 5 like a while back, and then realised it was complete 6. No, I'm gonna wait till I have all 6 and I'll read it together. It is a majorly sad story. It is about someone with a critically bad, what's the word? Illness. Terminal, that's the word. I don't even think it was on the back, it just came to mind. The girl with dark hair has a terminal illness, and she ends up like getting really close with the silver-haired girl, and they start spending a lot of time together. I think she's a writer, and she reads her manuscript that she's about to throw out, and she's like, no, it's really good, please keep writing for me. And then they spend more time together, they start dating? I think, do they start dating? They fall for each other, basically. And it's just about this summer that they spend together and become very much in love with each other right before the very, very sad, possibly predictable ending. Not like predictable in a bad way, but it was like, this is obvious where this one's gonna go. I did get sad at it. I don't think I cried, but I got sad. I think because it was like so like, this is where it's gonna go. It didn't quite hit for me. Just for me personally, I'm not a big fan of really sad stories. I don't like feeling sad. I feel sad enough day to day. I will say, I do think it was really well written. I read all 6 volumes over about a 24-hour period. I didn't read it in a day. I read some like across 2 evenings, but in like less than 24 hours. So I did feel really compelled to read it. It was a well-written story. I did really feel for the characters. I felt like they felt nicely fleshed out, even though it is a rather short series compared to like some other series. Even though the sadness didn't necessarily like hit for me directly, I did feel the character's sadness progressing through, and especially at the ending when it all like, yeah. And there's a whole bunch of other layers of sadness. There's reasons why the silver-haired girl is kind of being a bit more reclusive, why she's wanting to get rid of her writing, give up on it. We explore all of that backstory, and it all just, yeah, it was a well-written, very sad GL series. Even though it's not my kind of thing, and it didn't like make me sad, I would still recommend it, but I would say do be aware of what you're going into before you give it a go, especially if you're like me and not a fan of sad. Parallel Paradise 22. Honestly, like, I feel like I'm reading this now just because I'm so invested. It's just so gross, and it's getting more and more gross. To start with, it was one of my first Go Ship titles, and it was like, ooh, smart, smart, smart. Isekai, isekai, isekai. But it's getting worse. Worse. It's getting gory and more weirdly sexual. But there is at least some plot in between. And I'm like clinging to that quite desperately because it is building and seeming to be kind of an interesting what is happening in this world kind of isekai. What are causing the girls to be born? What are causing the girls to die at the full moon? Why are we in this world where are all the men? But it is like, I feel like I'm fighting for my life. I'm not recommending this. I mean, for first, it's on 22. I can't believe we're on 22 volumes. I can't believe I've stayed up to date with reading this. I do still think it's ongoing as well in Japan. I don't think it's complete yet. So it's going to be in the 30s at least. Ugh. Girl Crush Volume 1, a new series from Viz. It's going to say it's shoujo beat, but it doesn't have anything on the top. I enjoyed this one. This one was fun. I liked it. It's about a girl trying to become an idol, basically. And I think she ends up taking herself off to Korea or a Korean talent agency to try and audition to be an idol. And it was kind of just interesting seeing like how they show them dancing and the different like aspects that they're trying to go through to become an idol. It was just quite a fun read, and like I'm just really excited for more. Next we have Kill Blue Volume 1. I think I have a few like new Viz releases in a row. Honestly, I feel like assassins slash like hitmen seem to be like the current thing. There's quite a few of them. I have a couple more in like today's reading pile to just share alone. And this one is about like a really overpowered, well-known, popular, is popular the right word? It's this guy. Really overpowered, popular assassin who's really good at his job. Through a series of like accidental effects, he gets turned into a high school kid. He then attends a school to, I think, look after, he's trying to either look after or track down a student. Yeah, I think he's like trying to protect a student. While in the background, people are trying to figure out how to cure him and make him back into this old man again. I quite liked it. It was funny, it was silly, it was over the top. And I'm, especially in a volume 1 when we've got a new environment set in a school, I just quite liked it. It's probably one that could quite easily drag on. I could see this like going to the 20s or something. The My Shonen Jump don't seem to go on that long anymore. I'll see if it keeps landing for me the more I read, but I like Volume 1. Snow Angel Volume 1. This one is a shoujo beat for sure. I don't think it's very long either. It's like 3 or 4 volumes. I really enjoyed it. It's not the happiest of stories, which I know does go against what I just said earlier about my fondness, but lack of fondness for sad things. But there was some joy in it. It's quite a interesting look on someone who is quite tied and stuck to their family, trying to help care for elderly members of the family, while also trying to live their own life. A thankless caregiver role. She wants to break free from her oppressive family and regain control of her life, and she accidentally runs into her childhood friend who takes her away. Takes her away is a strong word. I think she like runs out the house and follows him. It is not, again, it's not like the most jolliest of reads, but it is optimistic. It's like offering an optimistic view. I also really like is not the right word. I'm going to use the word like, but it's not the right word. I like how it portrays like how underwater and overcumbered, stressed, so much on her shoulders. I kind of like how they represent it like this, the underwater drowning. And again, like is not the right word. I think it's represented well like this. I think that also helped me enjoy it. Just a heavier shoujo beat that isn't aimed at children, not children, or high schoolers. They're adults. They're young adults, but they're still adults. Next we have Veil, Volume 1. Now, I have many things to say. I am not intending to upset anyone at all in the slightest. This is just opinions of someone who's going in very blind. I don't really know anything about this going in. I purposely avoid knowing anything about anything I read before I go in. I like going into series blind because I feel like it helps me form the most blank opinion, and I almost find more joy in that. Joy in reading something I don't understand or know anything about and being able to say, this is what I think of it. Saying that, I had seen a chunk of hype for this. I'd seen hype when it got licensed, I'd seen hype when it was coming out. I saw that there were distribution issues, that even people who had pre-ordered it had gotten it cancelled. I was like, gosh. So when I saw it in Forbidden Planet, even though it was RRP, I did decide to pick it up to see what the fuss was about. But that was the extent of my knowledge when I knew about it, that it was popular. I don't think I've let the popularity bit affect me, except I probably wouldn't have rushed to pick it up as quickly. Now, I didn't realise the Veil isn't really as much like exactly a story. It is more of an art book with a couple of short story bits in between. The art style kind of like reminds me of like Tintin, especially this, like the two characters. Maybe it's like the kind of like yellow beigey wash over everything, and also the sheen on his coat and stuff like that kind of thing. The kind of premise is about this lady here who is blind, and she has run away. I assume she's like fancy rich daughter's thing. Rich daughter. Heiress. She's a runaway heiress, that's the word. And he's a police officer, and they run into each other on the street in that panel I just shared, and she, through them chatting, ends up working at the police station. I believe she like answers calls and stuff. And then throughout the rest of the volume, we get like short snippets of their life together and like how it's developed. Her working at the station, talking with other officers, them obviously starting to form a relationship or getting closer, forming a relationship and then spending more time together. And in theory, I quite liked the premise of the story, but I think just this kind of layout, which is kind of like a halfway house between a manga and a art book, just wasn't my kind of thing. Especially at the price point, which is like £14.50 or £15, I can't remember exactly because I took the sticker off. It's just a lot of money for that. I'd probably, and I know it's full colour, for me, I'd probably wait till it's under £10 before I picked up volume 2, which I know also had like stocking issues, but they are like reprinting it, just some of the reprints might not be around until 2026. So mostly I'm saying this not necessarily like I think it's bad, it's more I would advise, especially at the price point, do have a look into it before buying it if it is something you're interested in, just to make sure that you feel like you're comfortable with what it is before you get it, as opposed to just picking it up and then going, oh, okay. And again, I'm not saying that's necessarily how I feel. I purposefully go in blind, spending the money. Half the time it's so I can like talk about it in my videos, so I'm not like begrudging that I did it. I'm just saying that for other people, keep an eye out. I mean, I quite like the style, and if that's what you're into, excellent. I mean, some of them, they are very pretty. They're nice to look at. I'm just a lot less fussed about art books, personally, unless it's something I'm like really into, like here's an art book of concept art for this video game that I play and love loads, like Final Fantasy XIV, collect some of those art books. But it's part of a story I've not read and I'm not familiar with, so I'm just a lot less fussed. But that's all me. If you enjoy it, great. I'm not saying like don't enjoy it, I'm not saying even that I hated it, just yeah. I don't know how much more I'm going to get through, considering it is on the approach to 1 AM, and I have not done very much of this at all. Apparently I get more when I've had a really big ass nap. Anywho, next we have Hirayasumi Volume 5. It's such a beautiful series, and it's good. I love that I think I'm enjoying it more the further in I've gotten. This was my favourite volume of the series so far. I really kind of loved the whole bit with the friend, and then being a bit like him going through a whole crisis, a whole problem, and then the guy kind of helps, and I think they just go fishing, and I thought it was a beautiful scene. I genuinely can't think of a better series to just describe like cozy vibes, like slice of life, than this. I highly recommend. Cosmos Volume 1, another viz. I don't know how I feel about it. It was fine, I think. I wasn't blown away. It is insurance collectors in space, and Cosmos is the name of the insurance agency. And there's like aliens that come and visit Earth, and they insure their trip through this agency, and if things go wrong, they contact them. And then there's this human. What can he do? He can sniff in some way. Oh, that's it. He can smell lies, which is kind of like, is it Usatoki rhetoric? Was it smell or hear lies? I can't remember. Yeah. So there's this human guy who can smell lies, and he ends up being like onboarded into this insurance agency. I'll probably still pick it up and try at least a few more before deciding if I turn it into like a sale section / second-hand series. But I'm not. Also probably not going to rush for it. Dr. Stone 27, because apparently they just did another volume of Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone completed at 26 volumes a few years ago, and they did some more chapters apparently. It is just continuing on, just a bit more like what's happening after. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the ending of Dr. Stone. It got a bit weird towards the end. I loved up to like volume 20. The later, like just the last like lurch was like, oh, okay. And I feel like it felt the same in this one. It also felt a bit like, I was reading it like, why have you come back? Why are you here? And to be honest, I don't like how it ended. They ended it on such a cliffhanger of something I wanted to happen and I was hoping would happen. But they like cut it off, and I feel like they cut it off on purpose. The whole reveal of what was down there, was it what they expected when they go digging? And like, if you're gonna go to the effort of doing another volume, leaving it like that and that open-ended, no, I don't like that. I was fine with this storyline where it got left, and then you decided to reopen it for this random extra volume, and then not even like properly see it through. Like, oh, well, open-ended stuff, it's up for you to decide. No, no, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. When you come back years later to touch a storyline, one of the only storylines that I quite liked how it like concluded, when you're gonna touch and faff and meddle with it, don't you dare leave it open for me. They better bring out a 28 just to do that, because Okay, next volume we have is Indigo, volume 1. Now this was sent to me from Nakama Press, and Nakama Press is a new imprint. I can't remember like the parent, but they do like comics and graphic novels, and they now have an imprint for manga. And I must say, I think I talked about it in a whole video, it is really like nice to hold. It is firm, it is sturdy, the pages are like nicely thick, it feels nice to hold. It's like, look at that, it's a sturdy. And also the price bracket is about £10.99, £9.99. So that's like the same as a small yen press kind of deal. Now for the story, terrible. It was a terrible story. Oh dear. And I'm incredibly confused. It was so bad. When I read something is really bad, I do go up and look reviews, because I'm like, is it just me? Am I the crazy one? But no, all of the reviews said the same thing. So at least I'm not delusional. Right. So the plot, the premise is, I'm gonna have to use some of the blurb because honestly I got incredibly confused reading it. This character here is a reporter and reports on like supernatural weird stuff. She has an ability where she can communicate with animals and plants, though I don't think it's like abundantly clear in the story that she does that. I only knew because I read the blurb before I read the story. And then one day, her mentor dies and she starts trying to investigate to see what happened. And then yeah, she starts investigating, things happen, weird stuff happens, and yeah. So my main issue with the whole thing, and full spoilers for the whole volume, is it just moves along at such an incredibly fast pace. So in the volume, mentor dies, she starts investigating, things get weird, turns out it might be extracurricular, it turns out she might be what is called an indigo girl, which can help guide the course of the universe or something. Then there's like some weird pages where she's like, actually there's some neat pages, can I find them? Yeah, she ends up like being like shot out into the atmosphere, not entirely clear. And then a couple pages later, it turns out all these alien ships have turned up on the dark side of the moon. Yeah, and because she's the Indigo girl, she's expected to be the one to decide if this like treaty between all of these extraterrestrials gets signed and they continue to live in peace, or does she not sign it and then everyone goes to war? And she's like, do I sign this? And then yes, she does sign it. I mean, some of the pages are really kind of like neat to look at aesthetically in terms of like as artwork. It's just very nice to look at, neat concepts. Yeah, it gets really weird, some like stuff about birth and death and being sacrificed, and then she wakes up and she's back on Earth, and that's the end of volume 1. And I'm like, hang on, it feels like almost a one-shot. I feel like they told me all the story. She's just woke up on Earth, what's gonna happen next? It was just so train speed, bullet train speed. There were scenes where like she would be in one building and then suddenly she's in a car and there's like no explanation. It's just change scene. There's no like gradual movement. It is breakneck pacing, and it just makes it incredibly hard to follow what is happening or going on. And reading all the other reviews as well, a lot of them too said the main issue was it was just pacing. It just goes too fast. It feels like there was like 6 volumes of story or content in one volume. It could have been stretched out. And I assume there must be more. It has a volume 1 on the spine, so I assume there is more. It's just really difficult to follow. So I probably wouldn't recommend this one, but in terms of the like publisher, I would like do check them out because they feel nice. Sorry. Wet Sand volume 1. Oh, this was quite a nice read because it was like big buff gangsters getting all frisky with each other. Lots of tattooed men. It is a plastic wrapped series. It is a plastic wrapped volume, so keep that in mind. I truthfully didn't really follow the plot. I think that's fine though. I think I was there not as much for the plot. I mean, look at him. Look at him. Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be like conflict and drama and murder and kidnapping. That's what I'm looking forward to more. And in between the smut. Cats with Jobs volume 1. This is the same person who does a bunch of other cat series: Monster Cats, Evil Secret Society of Cats, Yokai Cats, Cthulhu Cat, Pandania. I'm not sure how to like properly pronounce it. And they've got another one, and I'm ecstatic because I adore these desperately. Another one I'm trying to brute force my mother into reading. This one is about every chapter we got a cat in a different job. There we got cat as a pirate, cat as a delinquent leader, cat in a bakery, and they're just so cute. They are, as you can see, 4-coma, episodic, so you need to be really into it to want to read this kind of thing. I usually won't read it in one go. I'll read like a chapter at a time because they're just so peaceful, calming, but it's not like an ongoing big story or anything. But there is a whole bunch of professions in here. You might be able to find like yours possibly. Santa Claus. Not saying that anyone watching this video is Santa Claus or anything, unless Santa does watch my videos. If so, major fan. I found mine. Programmer. It's probably as close as I'm gonna get. It's just like how my cat programs. It just lies on my keyboard. Same with all the other ones. If you're a big cat fan and you kind of like silly 4-coma. Very recommend. Missing O volume 2. I still have quite mixed thoughts on the series. This volume was really sad. It was about one of the girls realizing that her boyfriend was an absolute bag of shit. And they kind of like tricked him into admitting he was a big bag of shit. So I kind of like that it isn't necessarily just about the smut, but there is some bits to it where it's like, oh, damn, I'm sad now. Can we go back to the smut? But yeah, mixed feelings. It's nice that we've got some steamship we got some webtoon steamship. Webtoons under the steamship line. I got there. I'm not sure on the artwork. I think because the artwork is so different to the cover as well. I think I've seen a few people say that's put them off a bit as well. Not necessarily like it's bad, just like they were caught by surprise, I guess. I was. If the villain and villainess met and fell in love, volume 3, again, this just ticks so many of my boxes that I like. Villainess character, there isn't actually two villainess, she's just perceived to be one. Thought to be not very powerful, but actually probably is super powerful. And then this cute little budding relationship going on between the villain guy, the guy who's like thought as the villain, or cold, and her. It's just super cute. And we had some like, was it this one? Yeah, we had the heroine be revealed to not be like the best. She got caught, and that's always a good scene. It's always a good scene when the good one gets caught a little. I would recommend it, but I think I'd recommend it depending on what you're into, because it's like it's not outstanding, I think, in its own right, but it is the sort of thing I enjoy. So I would recommend it to me. So it depends what you're into if I'd recommend it to you. Next we got King the Land, volume 1 and 2, and this is complete. It is just these two volumes. Now there is a K-drama. There is a K-drama for the series, and before I started reading it, I had watched half the first episode. I think I'd only watched half the first episode. It's really bad. I don't remember where I stopped. Didn't think it was bad or anything. I think I just got distracted. I didn't realize at first that these were related. I didn't realize it was based-ish themed to the same story until I got to, I think, volume 2. So if you're familiar with the K-drama, it is following the two main characters, except a lot of it is following them in their childhood. The girl's mum works on the estate that the boy lives on as like a cleaner, I think, housemaid. And she brings her daughter, and her daughter hangs out, and she runs into the boy, and they spend more time together. And I think that's all of volume 1. I think they're mostly kids the whole of volume 1, and then in volume 2 they start to age up. I think the mum gets fired for some reason, so they end up apart. We then in volume 2, because I mean it's complete in volume 2 and they only like started to age up then. In volume 2 we start getting like snippets of the pair through them as adults, mostly towards the start, and this is what I realized it was tied to the K-drama, because there are a few scenes from the K-drama that are shown in this, like a scene in the gym where she accuses him of being gross. If anyone else has watched it, you might know what I mean. And I think a bit where she goes up to his hotel room to find his phone for him, because she now is working at the hotel that his family runs. And then the ending is jumping forward quite a bit to like their like couple's romantic ending. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I was so confused until I got to the end where there was some Q&A with the person who drew this, and one of the questions even says, what is with the sudden story jumps? And they say, I'm sorry, since this project has been announced as a promotional webtoon, I didn't realize there was such a shortage of context for the readers. I apologize to my readers who are hoping they could enjoy the fully adapted story as a webtoon. So basically, it turns out that this story was meant to be like a alongside promotional bit for the K-drama, but they didn't want any spoilers for the K-drama in it. What did they say exactly? Broadcasters can be sensitive about spoilers, so it needed to be original but still like tie in with the story. So then they decided to draw the characters in their childhood, and that's apparently why we get like childhood story. We get a little bit at the start, which is why I recognize some of it, because it was like the first half of episode 1, and then we seem to jump to like post K-drama where we like got what's happened, kind of like an epilogue. So basically, TLDR, you probably shouldn't read this on its own. It's to be read in accompaniment with the TV series. And if I read into it any, I might have realized it does say inspired by the K-drama on the back, which is fine. And it's not like a bad read. Like the childhood story bits are quite cute. There's some nice bits, but volume 2 is just incredibly erratic and I don't think can be followed or makes much sense without the K-drama, and also spoils the K-drama with the ending, I guess. But that, I mean, again, on me, I could have read into it, but this is me informing you that's what this is, and if you want to read this, I'd watch the K-drama first. I started to go back to watch the K-drama. I've watched a couple episodes now, but I'm still a bit off completing it. Ayakashi's Hunter's Tainted Bride 2. I do still stand by. I think I'm enjoying this a bit more than My Happy Marriage. Again, not to say that I don't like My Happy Marriage, just this is releasing a little quicker and it's a bit more nicely dramatic. I like this kind of dramatic. There was some dark points in this volume though. There was some dark points. And we've had some like nice drama bits with like her ex-fiance turning up and him like reiterating no, he does care and love for her. Oh, I have volume 3, but I haven't read volume 3. It is upstairs waiting for me to read, and I'll probably jump on it really quickly after this one now that I've remembered that I have it and I'm talking about this one and what happened in this one and liking this one. Oh! Villainess turns the Hourglass volume 7. Now 8 is the final one. We are super close. I think it might just be out now as well. Volume 7 was a lot of drama. We had like the whole wrap up with, what's her name? Meal? There's like the stepsister, half-sister, stepsister. We had the whole stepsister. We had the whole conclusion to that, which is kind of like most of the plot for this whole series. And we've kind of like started to move into like a mini plot, which I assume will also conclude in volume 8. I think sometimes I'm a bit like, if I like we've wrapped a big massive arc that probably feels like the end of a series and then tacking on quite a short one, in this case like a volume and a half, to the end of the story. I think it kind of has worked, or is working. I've not read volume 8, maybe it changes, but because of how like dark and heavy the rest of the storyline for this story has been, having a slightly lighter one to like close it off, I think I'm okay with, but I'll see how it concludes in 8, I think. Dead Rock volume 2. Again, I have read volume 3 of this in August. I actually read this yesterday. I read volume 3 yesterday. So this one's a really tricky one, I think, for me to really talk too much about in just talking about volume 2. But overall, I must say Dead Rock is a lot more gory and brutal than a lot of the other series from the same mangaka, which is Fairy Tail in Zero Rave Master. It is a lot more gory and dark and sad. But I am a bit of a sucker for a dark academia kind of style story, so kind of enjoyed it. It's like a more darker Welcome to Demon School of Rumicon. Only I know the world is ending and getting killed by rampaging beast only makes me stronger. Volume 2. It is a back in time. I really liked volume 1. I really liked volume 2. Lots of heavy use of stats. This guy is replaying the same thing again and again and again to try and complete things. We don't really know what's happening yet still. He's just trying to beat up he's trying to beat up the Minotaur, which is the first enemy I think that kills him in his first loop. Reminds me a bunch of SSS class Revival Hunter as well, and I think I have a volume of that on this as well, on this shelf as well, I read in June. If you like that kind of thing, like stats, back in time, reliving, doing better, recommend it, but I think that's probably quite a niche set of people who enjoy that kind of thing. DraQ volume 3, which apparently completes it. Final, volume 3 is final. Look, it says on the back that you could touch it. It is a romance between a vampire and a werewolf, and at first I was really excited with volume 1. I quite liked it. I was like, ooh, if there'd been romance between a vampire and a werewolf. But it completing at 3 volumes is just, it's too quick, and it's a very like odd ending, in my opinion. I wasn't a fan, so I probably wouldn't recommend the series. Except look how yellow this is. I love how yellow it is. My favorite thing about it. Okay, I get such an itchy nose when I've been talking. So excuse my little red nose. Next we have Fairy Cat volume 1. This was cute. It is about a tiny palm-sized cat that appears and has decided that they really like this guy and they're just hanging around with him and spending time with him. And he's just befriending this little fairy cat and hanging about with it. I think mostly it's really just calm, pleasant. I think I have both of my cats with me. I think I have one on the chair and I think I have one on the cat tree, keeping me company while I yap away at 1 AM on a work night. Takahashi from the Bike Shop volume 2. Really like this one as well. This one had me in tears though. Properly, absolutely sobbing. And honestly, maybe it's because I'm tired, but thinking about it is starting to, even just thinking about what happens is like making my tears, my eyes well up. It was yeah. Like, honest, it is such a nice series, and like, it feels like you're reading about like real people who are like going about their day-to-day lives. These two exploring a potential romance, spending more time together, and it was just, yeah. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to describe a little bit about what makes it so sad, so in case people don't want to read it, but also the story graph. If you don't want to hear me talk about it, you can go to content warnings. Her mum, she doesn't live anywhere near her mum anymore, and she gets a call from her mum saying that the family dog is not doing too good, and he's quite old, and they're not sure how long he's got, and she can't get any trains. I think the weather's bad, and he then offers to drive her. He drives her over, and they get there just in time. Yeah, and then they spend like time with the mum together, and yeah, it's a really sad way, but it's also kind of nice, but it's also really sad. So do be aware. I do recommend it. I really like it. But it, yeah, that bit really got me, whether she likes it or not. Have a little cat cuddle. Isn't that right, Mika? You wipe my tears away. You look so grumpy. Oh, she stayed on my lap though. Oh no, she's jumped down. Anywho, let's move on. Next, I read I Want to Love You Until Your Dying Day, Volume 1. This is kind of like a really messed up GL. In this school, these girls are trained to be like, yeah, weapons of war. They go out to the front lines and they fight, and they can get injured or worse, and they come back to this, I think it's like it's an orphanage. They come back to this orphanage and they kind of get like put back together, sometimes quite extremely so. And it's just really weird and really weird what's going on. But these two start spending more time together and getting on quite closely. I believe, yeah, they're roommates. Love blossoms amid bloodshed in a new enthralling dystopian Yuri manga. There you go. That's probably a good way of describing it. It's really, really weird. And I'll see how it keeps going if I pick up more. I haven't got any more to read, so I think I'm uncertain enough I might leave it as like a sale section series for now. Megumi Tsugumi Volume 5. I saved this because I read 1 to 4 during Pride Month last year, and this came out like a month or two before June. I was like, I'm going to save it for Pride Month this year. It's so nice to finally find a Sublime series that I enjoy reading. Yay! This volume, the two of them are like opening up to their parents and trying to like seek acceptance to be together. It doesn't go down crazily well, but it kind of boils down to Tsugumi needs to try and I think get into Megumi's school, and which is like fancy proper school or something, so he's going to do loads of learning or something. But an ongoing favourite thing about this, I love Tsugumi's parents. They're honestly amazing. I love them so much, and we get some nice time with them, plus a little bonus chapter at the end. SSS Class Revival Hunter 3. I said I thought I'd read one, and I had. This is another one where I have read the next volume, so again, I'm probably not gonna talk too much about it in this one. I will in the August one. But I really love a Back in Time. I love when they kind of know what's gonna happen and they kind of like plot and arrange accordingly. Though it's also super infuriating when they have like a really good time loop. It goes great, and they have to reset it, and it's like, no, how do they do that again? How do they do what they just did again? So it ends up as good. Oh, and I really like this guy. I love this guy. Got his name, Sword Emperor, something Emperor. My Death Flag Shows No Sign of Ending, Volume 1 by One Piece Books. It is an isekai. It is a guy who has been isekai'd as a villain who into a video game that he was a big fan of, and he knows that this villain character will be defeated later on by the hero's party, so he's trying to mitigate for that. And I think what I realised reading this is I've read a lot of stories where this happens with a female character and a villainess. I don't think I've read that many where it happens with a male character. So that was kind of really nice about it, like, because I like that kind of, I know what's going to happen, I'm going to try and mitigate, but also you accidentally end up becoming like a really nice person along the way, and they're not really the villain anymore, though he does have a bit of a problem where what he wants to say comes out of in the words of the character. It gets twisted a little, so he sounds a bit more like coarse and rude and evil than he actually is. But I really liked it. But again, I liked it and I'd recommend it to me, but whether I'd recommend it to you would depend on like what kind of things you're into and enjoy reading. A Suitable Fetish Volume 3. This is a steamship that I don't love it, I don't hate it. I think I'm a bit like in the middle on it. Most of this volume focused on a different pairing, the two on the cover, and it was fine. I wasn't blown away, but it's fine. It's definitely an office romance, steamy relationship. Though we're already moving on to another pair by volume 3, I'm like, oh, okay. Beware the Villainess volume 3, and I have read volume 4 of this. I read it quite recently, and I'm drawing a blank on what happens, but the difference of what happens between volume 3 and volume 4. So I'm gonna mostly leave this one as well, I think. Especially as a load of stuff that happened in this volume was surrounding this guy, 9, I think is his name. But there was so much more development in volume 4. I'm gonna mix up exactly what happens, so I'm gonna talk about them both in the August one. The Hitman Stans volume 1. This was sent to me from YUNA Press, and it is another like similar vein as like Yakuza's Bias, Way of the House Husband, Hitman Geeks, I think, or Geeky Hitman. It is about someone in a more serious assassin-y hitman gangster kind of Yakuza kind of field, having a much softer side hobby, I guess. A lot of them are idols actually, and this one is another one. It is about a hitman who stands a particular idol and he supports her. Of the lot so far, I think this has been my favourite. I think because it was a bit less episodic, there was a bit of a story to it, and it was a bit more focused. He's a really big fan of a particular idol and goes to support this idol at shows, group fan meetings, buying merch, that kind of jazz. I think that made me like it a bit more, I think. That's the idol on the back here. Like photo card, I think? I'm not too familiar with it. I've just realised you can see some in his coat jacket. I quite like this one. I look forward to the next one. I've just realised we've gotten along this row. I don't know how long it's been for you, but it's been like an hour and a half for me. It's like 1:30 in the morning. We've just got these, but a lot of these are the BL one-shots. So yeah, the next couple, I have read another volume, and I'm definitely going to hold off reading more, talking more about it till the autumn one. So we have Firefly Wedding Volume 2. It's great. It's so drama, so dark, so beautiful. And I read volume 3 in August, and Tokyo Alien Bros volume 2, and I read volume 3 of this in August as well, and it completes at 3 volumes. So I'm gonna save like talking about thoughts for the whole thing, because yeah, it's a short series and I have many thoughts for how it ended, so I'll just do it all in that one. Apologies. Kindergarten Wars volume 1. It's a similar vein again to like Hitman Stans. It is about someone, a more jovial comedic side to a more kind of brutal job. I'm not sure if brutal is the right word. So this story is set in a kindergarten, and it is a kindergarten for like the children of who's who, politicians, leaders, very, very high level celebrities, and because of that, the children are often targeted. So all the people who work at the kindergarten are like hardcore, we protect these children in any means necessary. And I believe a number of the people who work at the kindergarten are like former criminals who are serving some term or like being renounced or something. So the main character here was a former legendary assassin who now works at this kindergarten. Except her like major flaw is that she falls head over heels in love with like anyone that talks to her. So the first few chapters is like an assassin or a kidnapper turns up for one of the kids, and she like becomes obsessed with them. She loves them, and is then devastated when she has to like very silly, very, very silly. I quite liked it. Sinner of the Deep Sea 2 and 3. This completes this series. I was like, I really liked volume 1, and I've got 2 and 3. I should just read it, complete the thing. And I did, yay! I think it's probably one of the nicest series I've read that like visually shows water movement. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well. As they're under the sea, mermaids swimming about, the way they like show them interacting, flowing, swimming along is just really visually striking and nice to look at. Story-wise, I think it suffered being as short as it was. It was trying to do like a big overarching, here are these grand reasons the bad people are doing bad things, but everything was introduced, I feel, too quickly and then resolved too quickly. A bit longer, I think I'd have enjoyed it more, and I'm a bit on the ending. I'm not sure on the ending. I don't think I hated it, it was just okay, but still very visually striking, and I'd almost recommend it still for that reason alone. See you in my 19th life 6. Now I feel like I read 7 in my July reading vlog. I've definitely read more since. No, I haven't read more since, but I have 7 in my stack to read. I've gotten confused. Big reveal at the end, big reveal. So I can't wait to read the next volume because I feel the next volume is gonna we're gonna find out. Everyone is gonna learn, especially the guy, the most important guy, learning what is going on. I still like, would you believe her? Would you believe her? She's like, I was this person that died, I've been reborn. Would you believe her? I don't know. If I think like, especially if it's someone you've loved that closely, you'd want to, but would I? Snow and Ink Volume 1. This, I quite like this. This is like a slightly darker romance, I guess. This guy is sentenced to death, and this girl here who is kind of like escaping. I don't know if she's nobility, I think it's from like a slightly richer family. She's kind of escaping. She buys him before he is offed to like aid her, I guess, accompany her. Bodyguard. No wait, we do know. He's sentenced to death for the crime of sadistically killing his entire village. He is ready to accept his unfortunate fate when he is mysteriously bought and saved by the wealthy heiress Freya. Emotionless and dumb to the world, Freya is also an outcast hiding deep wounds of her own. And yeah, they go to live north in like a very snowy region. Outcasts, I guess. And they kind of grow closer and a bit fonder of each other. It's an interesting dynamic. And it's starting to come clear throughout volume 1 that the reasons that both of them have either been outcast or sentenced weren't entirely necessarily correct. There were things around the edges that weren't actually necessarily their fault, but they're the ones that have ended up carrying the burden of this. And we're exploring it a bit further, and they're finding solace and companionship in each other through everything they've been through. And I kind of liked it because it's a bit more dark. It's not like a mushy romance. It's not like a modern day thing. It's some kind of mix of fantasy, rural, medieval-ish, old, medieval? No, they get a train. It's not too old, I guess. Anywho, I look forward to more. I have the next couple of volumes to read. Overgeared Volume 7. I've been so enjoying this series. My fun video game isekai with so many stats and like crafting, and we get the crafting stats. We're in the midst of a big battle. He has joined a guild at some point in the last few volumes, and there's this massive battle going on and his guild is partaking, and he's like trying to craft some things to hand out to the guild while also going out to help in the fight. Because of all the stuff he's crafted, he's like insanely OP, especially with his, I've forgotten if it's like legendary or epic, his class. I think it's epic, the random like blacksmith class that he's picked up. But we're in the midst of a big battle, and I find it really annoying when we still are in the middle of a battle by the end of the volume, because it means I need to try and remember the battle for the next volume, and I don't. I'm gonna have to flip through before I read volume 8, but I still do love it. It's one of my favorites, I think, at the moment. Perfect Body Volume 3. I love this series so much. Another office BL. Now, what I hate is how snug and well packed it comes from 7 Seas. The plastic wrap took me like a month to get off. I'd have read this at the start of the month if I could have gotten into the damn thing. It was hard and like it was really tricky to open. I could not get it open. It was so good though. The way they like talk to each other in the office, and how awkward he kind of is, like how happy he is. It took me so long to read this volume because I genuinely could not open it. I have volume 4 upstairs, but it is equally as snug and tight, and I'm so grumpy. The end is in sight, which is great because I should really probably think about going to bed soon. We only have the 7 Seas BL one-shots large format series to go through. I don't know if you can see, but it's all of these. 10. I read 10. I'm going to slightly rapid fire through some of these. 10 things I want to do before I turn 40. A fun, sexy BL romp between an assertive junior colleague and a senior past his prime. Past his prime! As someone who is on the approach to a significant number change on their next birthday, the number of like past their prime jokes I've been reading recently, I feel like they've been hitting a lot deeper, especially as a lot of them have been using like, oh, I'm 29, I'm so old. It's like, I'm 29, don't say that. Anywho, I think I kind of liked it. It is about a younger colleague who is helping someone turning 40 go through a list of things they want to do. They're not really doing much outside of like working and going home, so they make a list of things they want to do and the younger colleague helps them do them. And they're not all weird or sexual or even about finding a partner. There's things in there like going and trying a particular dessert, going and getting a nice pillow, and maybe that does show my age, but the thought of going out and getting a really nice fancy pillow does sound quite fun. Spending a birthday with his lover, that was one of the things on the list, and quite cute. I think I'd recommend it. It's nicely chunky. Want to be my dress-up lover? It is about a guy who moonlights, I guess, as a maid at a cross-dressing cafe, and he sees it as like a safe space. This is him. So by day he works at some form of agency, stressful job managing a travel agency, and then by night he goes to work at this cross-dressing cafe and dresses up as a maid. One of his colleagues turns up, finds him, and he's like, oh no, the jig is up. But no, he blackmails him into doing sexual things with him, and then it gets romantic apparently. Not really a big fan of the blackmailing bit, to be honest, so I'm gonna less recommend this one, I think. No spicy romance allowed. It is an Omegaverse one. It is an Omegaverse between a manager and their client, like idol, I guess. Model's probably, yeah, model. They try to keep the relationship professional, but it doesn't work, and they get together. This is probably one of my preferred ones. I quite like this one more. Yeah, but also it's a fun Omegaverse. How long can he keep saying no comment to Destiny? Play Me Softly. This was all about miscommunication, or failure to communicate, which is almost as bad. So these two went to high school together and like were pretty much almost practically dating, and then they lose contact. I can't remember why they lose contact, but they lose contact, and then they meet up again at a orchestra. I think they were both part of the orchestra, and they both meet up again at an orchestra as adults, and like, oh my god, it's you. They start spending more time together. They realize that they like each other, but they're a bit awkward because of something that happened in the past. Oh, I think this guy thought he had a girlfriend, but he doesn't. It was just like a close female friend. It all comes out to light and they get together. But I just get annoyed at miscommunication, especially like that. Some assumptions. Ugh. Outside of that, it was actually not too bad. I just have a personal pet peeve with miscommunication. That time I got stuck to the guy I hate. This was a bit weird. It's about these two guys that get stuck to each other. I think they're roommates, and they keep accidentally getting stuck to each other. And they discover that to get unstuck, they just gotta get a bit intimate together. And then after a while, they realize that even when they don't get stuck together, they want to be stuck together. Again, it was cute enough. I quite like BLs when both of them are a bit grumpy. And they're both a bit grumpy in this one. So I think that one, it did appeal a bit to me because of that. The second alpha, this was a bit sad, to be honest. Again, spoiler. So in terms of the title, second alpha is because this Omega's first alpha has passed away, and another alpha has come along and they've like connected. But a lot of the story is talking about grief and the time with the first husband, and not like erasing the first alpha husband. They're not like, they never existed. They're still part of this Omega story. Yeah, maybe keep that in mind before giving this one a go. I'll check out more content warnings on Storygraph. Love, a kitten and a salty dog. Now, I thought I'd like this one because like a big part of it is a kitten and looking after this kid. I wasn't a fan. I didn't like this one. This guy finds a kitten. This guy is a vet, takes kitten to vet to look after kitten. They spend time together. Yeah, miscommunication, bad communication. This one's a bit shit. Not a big fan. Apart from the cat. What a cute little cat. We also see other cute animals because the guy's a vet. Fake fat lips. Though I feel loath to call this a one-shot now, having seen that there is a follow-up with a different subtitle. Oh, I was tricked. But I think it's a big chunky omnibus from what I've seen online as well. Anywho, I liked this one. Again, I like my BL when they're both a bit grumpy, and they're both majorly grumpy in this. It is about two guys who are majorly competitive, and they've been competitive for many, many years. I think like high school, college, and now they work at the same place and they're competitive there as well. And they have like this bet going on who can like have the highest sales or something. And then they start a new competition on who can make the other fall in love with them first. Which always is going to end up well, isn't it? But it is quite cute, and I just love the grumpiness. So I'm quite excited that this one, of all the ones, is the one that has like a subtitle, but it's an Omni, so it's pricey. Until I Meet My Husband, and this is based off a memoir. Oh yeah, a memoir of a gay activist, first religiously recognized same-sex marriage in Japan. So it does read a little differently to like other manga stuff, especially all the other BL one-shots I've been reading. It was still a really interesting read, seeing the story of someone going through this in Japan. I mean, culturally, Japan is so different to say how it is in the UK. Not to say that it's plain sailing in the UK, especially for members of the LGBT community, but just seeing the difference and slight similarities, I guess, in how they experience growing up, and like the realization of, oh, I'm interested in men, and then that like what led them to the point where they did meet someone, they met their husband, and it was quite a cute ending. And seeing all the challenges they go through, it just, yeah, mostly a happy ending. There are some bits throughout that are a bit harder to read. Again, I would check out Storygraph if you're interested in better content warnings than probably ones I can give. Marriage to Kitsune-sama. I was kind of hopeful going in. I didn't like it. Most of what I didn't like is, so the general plot is these like boys, I assume that it's the boys, are offered up to Kitsune god as like to appease and everything for harvest, stuff like that, to go and be the bride. And this I can't remember how old he is. Yeah, I don't remember how old he is. But this guy is sent, he looks very young, he is sent, but he's really excited. He's been like, this is what I'm going to do for many years. He's like been building up to doing it. So he travels up to where the Kitsune lives and is brought in, and the Kitsune is very excited. But a whole load of like weird stuff happens. I didn't really follow. Oh, that's it. The Kitsune is cursed to want to devour him, and not necessarily in a naughty way, in a like a nom 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 kind of way. They're trying to like get past that because they can't be intimate if he like actually like takes a literal bite out of him. And then we explore some of the past, some of the childhood, and it turns out the Kitsune god has been quite enamored with this person since they were a child, since they were very young, as has his brother. It gets so messy, and I think that's like what put me off. Like, oh, it's so romantic, I've loved you since you were a child, except they weren't really a child. They were kind of grown, so it looks a bit creepy. Oh, but it's fine because they're gods. No, it all just looks a bit creepy. Just, yeah. I think I have read better BL one-shots that I would recommend over this one. And with that, we are done. My June reading vlog-ish. Apologies that it's taken me so long. Sorry that some of what I was talking about is all over the place, and that some of them I'm putting off to talk about in my August reading vlog. It is currently 2 AM. I really probably should try and go to bed to be up for like 9 AM. I do still have the cats with me. I do hope you enjoyed it. Do remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, if I do make this video public, that is. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Have I tempted or dissuaded you from reading anything? I feel less bad dissuading because then at least you're not spending money. Do keep an eye out for my future reading vlogs. I'll be better at doing my August one, definitely. I'm preparing it now. I've got a week left and preparing it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching me yap on for a few hours past like 1 AM. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a best day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!